Your cat is sitting across the room from you. Not on you, not near you, just across the room. And they are staring directly at your face, not blinking. You glance up, they're still there. You look away, you look back, still there, still locked in. And something about it makes you feel, in a way you can't quite explain, like you're being studied. Most people laugh it off. Weird cat thing, they think. She's probably just spacing out. Cats do that, but animal behavioral science tells a completely different story. What your cat is doing in that moment is one of the most sophisticated acts of social communication that exists between a predator species and a human being, and most people spend their whole lives on the receiving end of it without ever understanding what's actually being said. Let's start with the obvious explanation, because it sounds reasonable enough. Cats are hunters. Predators lock their gaze on prey, so when your cat stares at you, they're instinctively tracking you the way they'd track a bird or a mouse. You're just the most interesting moving target in the room. But here's the problem. Predatory staring in cats looks completely different. When a cat is tracking prey, a moth, a toy, a bird through the window, their body changes. They get low, the tail flicks, the pupils dilate into full black discs, the ears pin slightly forward. The whole body becomes a loaded spring. That's not what's happening when your cat looks at you from the armchair. In predatory focus, cats almost never blink, but they also almost never soften their posture. They don't orient their body toward you and then sit completely still. They don't slowly close their eyes halfway. That slow blink is the entire story, and for decades, most people missed it entirely. Researchers at the University of Sussex and the University of Portsmouth published findings in 2020 that changed how the scientific community thinks about this behavior entirely. They ran two separate experiments. In the first, they had owners sit across from their cats and perform a slow, deliberate blink, narrowing the eyes, holding, then reopening while keeping their face otherwise neutral. The cats, in response, were significantly more likely to slow blink back than when owners held a neutral, non-blinking expression. But here's the part that mattered. The slow blink wasn't just a reflex. It wasn't mimicry. The cats then approached the owners more readily after the exchange. The slow blink is a trust signal, a gesture of non-threat. In a species that evolved as both predator and prey, holding eye contact with another creature is inherently aggressive. To voluntarily close your eyes in front of another animal, even for a fraction of a second, is to say, I am not afraid of you right now. I choose to be vulnerable with you. Your cat is choosing to be vulnerable with you. But here's where it gets really interesting. The same researchers ran a second experiment. This time, not with the cat's owners, but with complete strangers, humans the cats had never met. The researchers performed the slow blink with these unfamiliar people, and the cats slow blinked back, and then they approached. Think about what that means. The behavior is not about familiarity. It's not about you specifically, at least not at first. It's about the signal itself. Your cat has learned that this particular exchange of closed eyes means something. It is, as the researchers described it, a form of positive emotional communication. Not instinct, not reflex, communication. There's a second study worth knowing about. A 2021 analysis from the journal Animal Cognition looked at how domestic cats orient their gaze in ambiguous situations when they're unsure what to do or how to feel. The researchers found that cats in uncertain environments consistently used their owner's face as a reference point. They looked at the human first, then made their decision. Scientists call this social referencing. It's the same behavior human infants use with their parents. Your cat looks at your face to know how to feel about the world. Here's a question almost nobody thinks to ask. When did prolonged eye contact between cats and humans even become possible? Because in the wild, it never would have. Wild cats and feral cats avoid extended eye contact with humans almost entirely. It's a threat signal, a challenge. The domestic cat is, biologically, nearly identical to its wild ancestor, the African wildcat, Felis sylvestris libica. And yet somewhere in the last 10,000 years of shared space with humans, something changed. We domesticated the dog deliberately.
We bred for tameness, for compliance, for proximity. But the cat domesticated itself. It moved toward human settlements because we created grain stores, and grain stores created rodent populations, and rodents were worth hunting. The cat chose us before we chose them. And what emerged from that slow, self-directed approach toward human spaces was something unexpected. The cat did not simply tolerate us. Over generations, it developed the social hardware to read us, to reference us, to communicate with us in a register we could recognize. That slow blink, that half-second act of trust, didn't come from breeding programs or training. It emerged from 10,000 years of cats watching human faces and learning what safety looks like. Now, I want to tell you about a study that nobody talks about because the finding seems impossible at first. Researchers in Japan in 2019 studied the bond between cats and their owners using attachment behavioral protocols originally designed for human infants. They placed cats in an unfamiliar room with their owner, then had the owner leave, then return. The theory was that strongly bonded cats would show distress when the owner left and relief when they returned, what's called a secure attachment pattern. The results were surprising. Cats who were strongly bonded to their owners showed less distress when the owner left, not more. On the surface, that sounds like cats don't care, like the bond is shallow. But the resolution is the opposite. Securely attached cats, like securely attached children, are calmer in the presence of uncertainty because their bond gives them a stable foundation. The owner's face, the owner's presence, the slow blink exchange, all of it builds what researchers called a secure base effect. The cat explores more freely, recovers faster, and rests more deeply because of the bond, not in spite of it. When your cat holds eye contact with you, they are not spacing out, they are recharging.
There's one last thing I need to tell you, and it might be the most important part of this video. If your cat stops making eye contact with you, not the occasional indifference of a busy afternoon, but a real sustained withdrawal of gaze, pay attention to that. Cats in chronic pain avoid eye contact. Cats in the early stages of cognitive decline begin to lose the orientation behaviors they once used automatically. They stop looking to their owner's face for reference, stop initiating the slow blink exchange. Cats who are stressed or anxious will sometimes shift from relaxed direct gaze to a fixed, unblinking stare with dilated pupils that has a completely different quality: tense, vigilant, unreciprocal. Your cat doesn't have language. Gaze is part of the only vocabulary they have. If that vocabulary changes, something has changed in them. You know your cat's normal face looks like. Trust that knowledge.
So the next time your cat settles in across the room and turns their face toward yours, that long, still, unblinking look that used to make you feel like you were being cataloged, remember what's actually happening. They are not tracking prey. They are not spacing out. They evolved the neurological capacity over 10,000 years of voluntary proximity to human beings to look at your face and feel safe, to look at your face and feel located, to look at your face and communicate something that has no predator equivalent, no survival function, no explanation, except this one. They chose you. Not the warmest spot in the house, not the most convenient perch. You. And when they close their eyes slowly in your direction, the behavioral science is unambiguous. That is trust made physical. That is an ancient predator deciding in real time that you are worth being vulnerable near. That's not a weird cat thing. That's a bond. If this changed how you see your cat, subscribe and leave a comment below. I want to know, does your cat initiate the slow blink with you, or do you always have to start it? Next time, we're going into something that's going to completely reframe how you think about the sounds your cat makes, and why the meow, specifically, might not be meant for other cats at all.